Hi, I'm Join. So, last time I did a no items run on Pokemon Red, and even though it was somewhat underwhelming thanks to how Gen 1 works, it was pretty fun overall. But today, we're going back to the usual solo runs on White 2, as today I'll try to answer the question, can I beat Pokemon White 2 Challenge Mode with only Budew? Budew is a baby Pokemon with okay stats. If you look at them, you'll see that the special defense is good and the special attack and speed are decent. But if I ever run into a Pokemon with Fire Punch, I'm most probably losing. Moving on to the moveset, having growth is huge. Considering that the only reason Poochyena was able to beat the champion, spoilers, was thanks to a move that boosted his attack. The only thing is that even with great stab moves like Giga Drain and Sludge Bomb, the only coverage move is Shadow Ball. So, Steel types are going to give me some trouble. The rules for the challenge are simple. I can only use Budew for combat. I'll have other Pokemons for HMs, but I won't be allowed to use them for battle, except for special occasions. I'll get into that when the time comes. No items during battle, however, held items are okay. And finally, evasion moves, items, abilities, focus ban, and the moves return and hidden power are banned. The last rule is more of a personal preference. With that out of the way, let's start the run. I used the Universal Pokemon Randomizer to replace Snivy with Budew. That way my rival will have Tepig, probably the hardest to fight. I name it Mistletoe, a type of plant that's commonly associated with Christmas. It has a docile nature, so neutral stats. I was hoping for more special attack, but it could be worse. He also has the Poison Point ability, so if he gets hit by a contact move, the opponent has a 30% chance of getting poisoned. I won the first rival fight only because I got extremely lucky. I first set up 2 growths to double my special attack. While I do this, Tepig landed 2 tackles. However, on the first one, my poison point activated, getting him poisoned. Because I got low on HP, I decided to use Absorb. It did nothing even with the boost, but it still recovered some health. For some reason, Tepig kept using Tail Whip to lower my defense though, so after a couple of turns, he went down. The same thing happened for the second rival fight, so Poison Point is proving to be more useful than I thought. When I won the fight, Budew grew to level 10 and learned Stun Spore. It's a move that has a 75% chance of paralyzing the opponent. It might be useful for the future since it has some synergy with growth. This combo proves extremely useful for the fights against the trainers inside the normal gym. But it's basically used in double team, since I have to hope for Stun Spore to land, good paralysis luck, and to set up 4 or 6 growths. Luckily, on the last fight I get to level 13 and learn Mega Drain. It's the same as Absorb, but with double the damage. Terran fight. He leads with Patrat and I try to go for Stun Spore but miss, so he sets up a workup to raise his attack. Second try it lands and he uses Tackle to do close to half. I set up a growth and he gets paralyzed. Next turn, we both set up. Since I know he could KO me, I go for Mega Drain to do more than half and he attacks, activating my berry and getting me to half HP. Next turn, he goes down. He sends his Ace Lillipup and we both set up. He outspeeds and sets up again while I go for Mega Drain, activating his berry. He goes for Tackle, getting me to only 6 HP and a Mega Drain gets him to a Sliver. This makes him go for a potion which allows me to go for Mega Drain again and recover even more HP while he faints. Finally he speed off and I go straight for the attacking move. While I do that, he goes for Workup. Next turn I attack again, getting him on the red and he uses Leer. As a last resort he uses Quick Attack, but it's not enough for the Oko, so a final Mega Drain gets me the win. I move to the second gym and try straight away the trainers. I beat them first try, but I can see Whirlybit being really troublesome by resisting my moves. Even with 6 growths, I don't think I can beat it at level 17. I still try, but like I said, I stand no chance. I can't even beat the first coughing. So I go to get some levels and try again. It takes some tries, but after some time, I get this run. She starts with coughing. I go straight away for Stun Spore and get the paralysis while she goes for Tackle, doing close to a 5th. I then set up 4 growths but stop when she lands a critical hit assurance that gets Budew to 5 HP and activates his berry. I go for Mega Drain for some recovery and do about half while I activate her berry. She gets paralyzed, so I go for the last 2 growths while she attacks Budew back to 5 HP. Even with the Blast Seed's special attack, a Mega Drain gets her to 1 HP, so she then counters with Venoshock to leave me at 8 HP. She heals with a Super Potion, so with 2 more Mega Drains, Coughing goes down. Next is Grimer, and it only takes 3 Mega Drains to KO her. Finally is the Ace Whirlipede, and Mega Drain does very little damage while a Venoshock from her does a 5th. I try for Stun Spore, but she goes for Protect to stall. Luckily, it lands the second turn while she lands a Venoshock. We go back and forth for a long time, but in the end, I thankfully KO her with my last Mega Drain. That was way closer than it needed to be. But with the second batch, I also get the TM for Venoshock, a special poison type move that deals more damage if the target is poisoned. It could be useful with Poison Point, but even if it didn't, it's a staff poison type move that gives me more coverage. It proves useful against the Team Plasma members OHKOing their Pokemon since it's 65 base power compared to 40. I get to Cassilia City, and after defeating the Plasma Grunts and getting some entries for the Pokédex, I get the Eviolite, which boosts my defenses. I also get the Miracle Seed to boost grass type moves just in case I need more power. After that, I go and challenge Berg. He sends Dwebble and I land a Stun Spore while he goes for a useless Rock Polish. I set up 3 growths while he keeps going for Rock Polish, and 2 Mega Drains defeat him. Next is Carablast, but a Venoshock OHKOs him. The Ace Libani is out, and an Aerial Ace does massive damage, but thanks to the growths, a super effective Venoshock gets an OHKO. Last is Shelmet. I use Mega Drain to get some health back, and he sets up with Curse, so the next turn, a final Venoshock gets me the win. After getting the badge, I go to fight Colress, but there's a problem. Well, a couple of problems. First is that his Magnemite always starts with Thunder Wave to paralyze me. Second is that Mega Drain does too little damage, and I can't use Venoshock since Steel is immune to poison. And third is that there's a Sandstorm that constantly damages Budew while Colress's Pokemon are not affected by it. So I need to get some levels. I tried again at level 32, but still no luck. Needing to set up growths while paralyzed is just painful. Finally, at level 37, after many more attempts, I got a run where Magnemite didn't paralyze me at the start thanks to Stun Spore and got lucky with paralysis myself, so I could set up my 3 growths and proceed to KO both his Magnemite and his Klink. I'm really not looking forward to the final Colress fight. Now, it's the Elisa fight, and if the fight with Colress was lucky, then I won the lottery with this one. She starts with Emolga. For some reason she goes for Pursuit instead of Aerial Ace like the other attempts, and I go for Venoshock that activates her berry. Next turn, she goes for Aerial Ace doing massive damage, and I get a crit with Venoshock, KOing her. Next is Zebstrika, and she uses Pursuit instead of Flame Charge like Emolga, which activates Badew's Poison Point. While she did that, I went for a boosted Venoshock that almost gets an OHKO and activates her berry. She heals with a Hyper Potion, and I use Mega Drain to recover some HP and get a critical hit to get her to half. She uses Stomp, and I go for Mega Drain again, which thanks to the poison, defeats Zebstrika. Fluffy comes out, and a crit Mega Drain gets her to a quarter while she paralyzes me with Thunder Wave. She then confuses me with Confuse Ray, but despite that, Budew hits another Mega Drain for the KO. Joltik is last, but she used an Edge Scissor that activated my Poison Point and boosted my Venoshock to OHKO her. So, to recap, the first 2 Pokemon that had super effective moves chose not to use them at the start, Poison Point activated just when I needed it, many critical hits, and luck with Paralysis and Confusion. That was probably one of my luckiest fights in Pokemon. Following that, I go to the bridge to do the triple battle against Heartbreaker Charles. He sends Archen, Sigilyph, and Tirtuga, and I send Budew with 2 Azurils. Tirtuga goes for Aqua Jet, KOing one of the Azurils. Budew uses Mega Drain on Archen, probably the biggest threat, doing more than half. Sigilyph goes for Air Slash, doing some cheap damage on Budew, and Archen OHKOs the second Azuril with Block. Next turn, Tirtuga goes for Wide Guard, wasting a turn, I KO the Archen with another Mega Drain, and Sigilyph sets up a Light Screen, boosting their special defense. The following turn, I go for Venoshock to do close to half to Sigilyph, while he goes for Side Beam and Tirtuga for Crunch, getting Budew to the yellow. To recover some HP, I go for Mega Drain against Tirtuga, OHKOing him, while Sigilyph uses Side Beam again. We both get each other to the red with Venoshock and Psybeam, but because I'm faster, a final Venoshock defeats Heartbreaker Charles. I try immediately the Clay Gym fight, but even though I get really close to winning, all of his Pokemon can screw me over. Krokorok, which outspeeds me and has Torment, Onix with Sturdy and Explosion, Sandslash with Bulldoze, and Excadrill with its Steel typing. I know that if I keep trying, I'll eventually get lucky enough, but I prefer a more consistent fight. So I go and get to level 45. First is Krokorok. I don't play around and just OHKO him with Mega Drain. Next is Onix. I set up a Growth and he sets up a Rock Polish. He uses Rock Slide to do a sit while I use Venoshock to break his Sturdy. He uses Rock Slide again and I go for another Growth. Finally, after another Rock Slide, a Mega Drain KOs him. Sandslash comes out, but he's an easy OHKO with Mega Drain that gets me to full HP. Finally is the Ace Excadrill. I land a Stun Spore to make him slower and miss some turns, and it pays off as he gets instantly paralyzed. A Mega Drain then activates his berry and a Bulldoze does close to half. Next turn, Mega Drain gets him almost to the red and another Bulldoze gets Budew low. Clay heals Excadrill and a Mega Drain gets him to exactly half, so a final attack gets me the win. Now, this is a first, but I actually lost the Colress fight on the PWT. I thought that if you lost, the story will go on like usual, but no, you have to win the tournament. I won the second time, but I just wanted to mention it as a way to show just why I don't think I'll get past Colress on the last fight against him. The Team Plasma fight on the boat was no problem, but what's important here is that I get the HM for Surf from Terran. With this, I can finally get the TM for Energy Ball, an 80 base power special grass type move that has a small chance of lowering the opponent's special defense. I lose the recovery from Mega Drain, but I prefer dealing double the damage. Now, I tried the Skyla fight not expecting much, but it was way worse than what I was expecting. The first Pokemon, Zubat, almost OHKOs me with Acrobatics, and the only reason I KO'd her was because of Poison Point. But then Sigilyph came out and used Flash Cannon to KO me. Oh, and did I mention that both of them outspeed me? Yeah, this is going to be a long grind. Luckily, there's a breather to the north of Mistradon City that gives good experience, so it doesn't take much time to get to level 53. And it's still not enough. They still outspeed me and deal way too much damage. The thing is that if I'm having this much trouble with Zubat and Sigilyph, how am I going to deal with Skarmory? Level 60. I got quite lucky on my first attempt and got all the way to Skarmory, but between not having recovery and not dealing enough damage, I went down easily. This is also the point where I've remembered to get the lucky egg to boost XP gains, so the training process gets a bit shorter. I get to level 65 and get this run. First is Zubat. She gets Budew infatuated and a Venoshock gets really close to the OHKO. She heals with a Hyper Potion and a Venoshock gets even closer to the OHKO. We had a speed tie, so next turn a Venoshock KOs her. Next is Sigilyph. I set up a Growth to raise my special attack and an Air Slash does a bit of damage. After that, a Venoshock gets an OHKO. The Ace Swanna comes out. She outspeeds but misses an Air Slash, and an Energy Ball OHKOs her. Finally is Skarmory. I try to paralyze her but miss and she hits an Aerial Ace to get Budew to half. Stun Spore lands next turn and she sets up an Agility. I get a lucky crit Energy Ball to activate her berry and she gets paralyzed. Another Energy Ball gets her to the red and she sets up again. So a final Energy Ball defeats her. Skyla wasting her Hyper Potion on Zubat at the start probably saved me the fight, and the missed chances to do more damage. That also helps. I'm just happy that I don't have to grind more. I go to Lentimas Town and get to Reversal Mountain. In here, I get the TM for Shadow Ball. It's the only useful move that's not Stab that Budew can learn. I'm not going to use it right now, but I can at least see it being useful against Pokemon that are weak to it. I get to Undella Town and fight against my rival, but because I'm so over-leveled, he was no problem at all. The same happened with the Sinsulin double battle and, surprisingly, with the old guy from the bridge. I thought that I will have to teach Budew Shadow Ball and try a lot of times to beat his Durant and Lucario, but I beat him first try. Next is the Dragon Gym Leader Drayden, but this fight was a breeze compared to Skyla. I set up 2 growths and 2-shot the Dragon with Venoshock, 1-shot the Altaria with Venoshock, 1-shot the Flygon with Energy Ball, and 1-shot the Hatsurus with Venoshock. Now, this has never happened before, but I can't beat Cinsoline. He has 2 Cryogonals and they have a lot of special bulk, so I need 4 growths to 1-shot them. The problem is that even if I somehow manage to get them, they outspeed me, and I haven't even reached the Weavile who no doubt outspeeds me. So for the first time, I think I'll have to grind to beat Cinsoline. I get to level 75 and after setting up 2 growths, I can 1-shot both Cryogonals and the Weavile. By the way, Weavile did almost half my HP with priority Ice Shard, so maybe I'll have to grind more for the last Cinsoline fight. No, forget about it, I just realized that I forgot to give Budew the Eviolite back, so his defenses were lower than normal. Beating Cinsoline means that I get access to Humilao City, the place where the Yellow Shark move tutor resides. This is huge because it means that I can teach Budew the move Giga Drain, a 75 base power special grass move. It has almost the same power as Energy Ball, but it can recover some HP. So I'm sticking with recovery over a bit more power. It proves useful against the Marlon fight, which was obviously easy as I'm a grass type against water types. The Cinsoline double battle on the boat was a bit tricky, especially since I got frozen for a couple of turns. But it wasn't that much of a problem with the help of Hugh's Embor. Next is the 1v1 fight against Cinsoline. He sends Cryogonal and I use Tunspore on it and he gets paralyzed on the first turn. I then set up 2 growths while he sets up a Reflect and confuses me with Confuse Ray. But luckily, I OHKO him with Giga Drain. The second Cryogonal comes out, and I hit myself while he sets up a Light Screen to weaken my special attacking moves. We both trade hits and get to half HP, so with another Giga Drain, he goes down. Last is Weavile. A priority Ice Shard gets me to a third and Giga Drain almost gets him to the red, but the recovery is enough to survive a Night Slash and defeat Cinsoline. After that is Colress, and I thought it was going to be impossible unless I was level 100, but it went better than what I had in mind. First is Magneton and we both paralyze each other. First turn I get paralyzed and he uses Flash Cannon to do like a fifth. Second turn I set up a growth and he attacks again. Third turn I set up again and Flash Cannon gets me to the yellow. I then use Giga Drain to do more than half and he gets paralyzed. I take the chance to set up another growth and he brings me back to below half. Finally, another Giga Drain KOs him. Next is Magnezone. A discharge from him does almost nothing and Giga Drain brings him to the red. He heals and another Giga Drain does the same. Because I knew he will use Explosion, I take the chance to set up a 4th growth. EHM comes out and he just sets up a Coal Mine while Giga Drain OHKOs him. Metank is next and Zen Headbutt does massive damage while Giga Drain OHKOs him too. Finally is Klinklang. He sets up a Gear Shift to raise his attack and speed while a Giga Drain gets him to the red. He then uses Giga Impact to bring Budew to a third, but I hit a Giga Drain through the paralysis and defeat Colress. I really wasn't expecting to defeat him, much less at level 79. Anyways, the current fight was rather easy, as was the Getsy's fight. I just set up a couple of growths and all of his Pokemon went down with just one hit. You know, I didn't think he could do it, but Budew might actually have a chance of beating the game. On the way to the league, I have to fight Hugh, but like with Getsy's, all I need is a couple of growths and I can just sweep his team. I tried fighting the Elite Four just to see how I will do, but I stood no chance. However, with a few levels, I might be able to beat at least some of them. I get to level 92 and try again. First is a Psychic Elite 4 member Caitlyn and she leads with Musharna. I start by setting up a growth and she luckily misses a Hypnosis. I then proceed to sweep most of her team with Shadow Ball until I get to Metagross. A Shadow Ball does half and I get even more lucky as she misses a Zen Headbutt that would have done most of my HP in damage. Next turn, she gets defeated. Second is Chantal, the Ghost Elite 4 member and she leads with Gophagrigus. I use Shadow Ball to drop her to the red and a Psychic from her does a bit of damage. Because I know she'll heal, I take the chance and set up a growth. So next turn, a boosted Shadow Ball KOs her. Next is Chandelure. She outspeeds me and goes for a Fire Blast that misses while a Shadow Ball OHKOs her. Afterwards is Drifloon who gets one shot. Banette comes out and uses priority Sucker Punch that crits and gets Budew to a third, but it goes down to a single Shadow Ball. Finally is Colurk and it also gets OHKO'd. Third is the Dark-type trainer Grimsley. He leads with Liepard, who uses normal gem boosted fake out to do some chip damage and make Budew flinch. He then outspeeds and infatuates me to make me lose a turn. After that, he uses Aerial Ace to get me close to half, but he goes down to a single Giga Drain. Next is Absol, and a Giga Drain gets him to 1 HP as he sets up a sword stance. This works for me as it lets me set up a growth while he heals, so next turn a Giga Drain KOs him. Afterwards is P-Sharp. He uses Aerial Ace to do a ton of damage as I counter with a crit Giga Drain that most definitely matter as it OHKOs him. The Ace Crocodile comes out, but a single Giga Drain OHKOs him. Finally is Crafty, and Giga Drain gets him to the red, but he only used a Rock Tomb that missed, so another Giga Drain gets me an easy win. Fourth is the Fighting Elite 4 member Marshall. He starts with Throw and I paralyze him as he uses Bulldoze to do some damage and lower my speed. I then set up 3 growths while he uses Bulldoze to bring Budew below half. This lets me hit a Giga Drain to OHKO him. Lucario comes out and uses a super effective Psychic while I counter with Giga Drain to OHKO him. Mienshao is next and he likes to go for Bounce, so I take the chance to set up another growth. When it lands, it brings Budew close to a third, but Giga Drain OHKOs him. The Ace Conkeldurr is also an OHKO, and finally is Sock. Rock Slide does a bit, and Giga Drain activates his 30. He heals and I activate his 30 again. He then misses a Rock Slide and a final Giga Drain beats the last Elite 4 member. Finally is the champion Iris. I never thought that I will reach this point with Budew, much less under level 100. But here we are. So let's see if I can beat her at this level. She starts with Hydreigon and I send Budew. I set up a growth and she uses a Fire Blast that does less than half. A Giga Drain also does less than half and she uses Fire Blast again. Another Giga Drain gets her to the red and a Fire Blast also gets Budew low. She heals and I use this time to set up another growth. I then get a lucky critical hit Giga Drain that heals me by a lot and OHKOs Hydreigon. Lapras comes out, but it's an easy OHKO with Giga Drain. Druddigon then gets one shot by Shadow Ball and Aggron gets one shot by Giga Drain. The Ace Hatterus comes out and a Shadow Ball activates her Focus Sash while she sets up a Dragon Dance. I thought she will heal, but she went for Outrage to bring Budew all the way from 238 HP to only 24. Thankfully, Shadow Ball knocks her out. But next is Archeops, and I had a mini heart attack because 1. I forgot she had one Pokemon left, and 2. I was afraid she could outspeed me. But Budew pulled through and OHKO'd Archeops with a final Giga Drain, getting me the win and becoming champion. Wow! I didn't think I would get to this point with Budew. Like I said at the start of the video, I thought that at most I will get to Colress. But not only did I beat him, but I even became champion. Surprising how Budew, a baby Pokemon, could get further than Tepig, a starter. But guess that shows once again how boosting moves can make one okay Pokemon great. Now it's not like every battle was a breeze. It got stressful at some points as I had to grind a lot for the first Colress fight and for Skyla. And I even had to grind for Cinsoline, and I never grind for Cinsoline. But anyways, that was overall a decent run. For next time, I'll be doing the Requiem Pokemon, Duskull. His stats are weird, and his moveset is pretty lackluster. So it'll be interesting to see what I can pull off. If you want to see more of my content, you can check my Shining Professor Oak Challenge playlist, that's on screen. Or, if you want to see something more like what you just watched, you can check the Challenge Runs playlist, that's also on screen. Anyways, that's all I have for now. See ya!